Well, Macbeth quickly makes short work of them, but Owen expresses his annoyance at the damage Macbeth's sense of honor is causing the castle, so he takes Brooklyn, Lexington, and Bronx prisoner and makes off. Meanwhile, Elisa is butting heads with Goliath over the fact that Xanatos is getting out of prison soon, and that next time it may not be an honorable Scotsman with an oversized remote control. It may be an angry Swede who likes shoving stone gargoyles off ledges. But now's really not the best time to persuade Goliath to hire 2 men in a truck. He's pissed off over this invasion and kidnapping, so he leaves Broadway and Hudson to look after the place while he heads off to break the others out. But even as he leaves, the others can see that Elisa's right in what she's saying. It's another example of the sophisticated storytelling. Normally, a team leader like this in cartoons is always going to be right. It shows the audience why they are the ones in charge. And, if I may be a bit cynical, it also teaches children the lesson that when you disobey your authority figures, bad things happen. Instead, we see that Goliath is fallible, that he can allow himself to be blinded to the realities of the situation. This makes him a figure that can be empathized with much more easily. He's not some icon figure that always has the answers. He's the guy doing the best he can. We soon see Macbeth's home, with old paintings and stained glass windows of what looks like a gargoyle and himself. He's obviously got some kind of relationship with their kind, but they're completely in the dark about him.
Wait, I remember. Goliath was talking about a play called Macbeth by some new writer named Shakespeare.
Ever read it?
No.
Maybe we should.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
Geordie's right about how important books are, and that's why Hudson and Broadway plan to take the Grimorum, that magical book that got them stoned for 1,000 years. They're going to take it away from Xanatos, but Owen refuses and starts actually kicking their asses for a while until Elisa manages to disarm him by bringing a crutch to a gunfight. Thanks to that, they now possess the Grimorum and all the power therein. But are they wise enough to use it properly? Maybe if we put our tongues on it. Okay, I'm dicking with them as usual. They figure that if they draw electricity to their cage, Bronx might be able to force his way through his bars and go for help. Well, faster than you can say out, damn spot, the dog escapes and runs to go get help. But it looks like this might all be part of Macbeth's plan, because he looks quite pleased as he watched Bronx escape. Either that or he just loves the sight of a hell beast screwing up traffic on Broadway. It's a good thing that he escaped, though, because finding Goliath means that Goliath can now tell him what to do.
Find Brooklyn and Lexington.
Namely, go right back to where he was the moment he escaped. While that's going on, it's one-on-one, Goliath versus Macbeth, and besides electrifying his nets, flying craft, and jail cells, he's also electrified various barriers in his home. Every Christmas, Com Edison sends him a fruit basket the size of a cow. After a long series of annoying traps, Goliath finally confronts Macbeth in a hall of mirrors, demanding to know why he's doing this. Turns out he's really after Demona.
You know Demona?
Know her? I named her.
It was either that or Snuggle Bunny. I picked the one she hated. Yes, in my world, all Scotsmen sound like pirates. She's the reason for this. Macbeth knows Demona well enough to know that her gargoyles mean everything to her, that she won't ignore him taking the last of her kind prisoner. Knowing that immutable fact, he's formulated the perfect plan. Poor bastard. As you can see, I've spent years plotting every last detail of my ultimate scheme, and it all hinges on the fact that sharks can play the piano. What? Well, finding out that Demona would happily see them all dead is a shock, so he decides this calls for a round of fisticuffs, during which the torch has lit up the ashes in this branding iron basin, or whatever it's called. I let my subscription to Torture Digest lapse once I stopped teaching Phi Ed. They spill out, and of course, penny-wise, pound-foolish Macbeth went with laminate stone tiling instead of actual non-flammable stones for his dungeon. Just like the Fall 93 issue said, it doesn't take much for them to warp, discolor, or even transform into a fiery inferno. Macbeth briefly escapes into the world's cutest Iron Maiden, besides, of course, the Rule 63 mandated version of Iron Maiden. He's just adorable. The fight in the fire spread. Damn it, I told you, only use formaldehyde to preserve in jars. There's no doubt that Macbeth is good, but in a sheer brute force fight, well, even he can't hope to beat a gargoyle, so he decides that discretion is the better part of valor. Now, that's a real sacrifice. He's got, like, Doctor Who pockets in that coat. Well, looks like our work here is done, huh, guys? You don't plan this. It just kind of happens that when you show up, things tend to end with something or someone smoking. Now it's just the matter of introducing Goliath to their new home.
You don't live there anymore.
What?
I found you a new home.
How dare you!
He took it better than I expected, especially when Hudson gives the Disney explanation of what a home really is.
They're right, you know. It's just a place of stone and wood. Home is more than that, Goliath. Home is the six of us. Wherever we can be together and safe. That's our home.
I think we know who's playing Scrooge in the Christmas play. So Goliath finally accepts the reality of the situation, but as you can see, he doesn't much care for it, and he lets Owen know that, yeah, he may be leaving, but sooner or later, they'll be back to reclaim this castle. The recurring theme throughout this episode is home. The Gargoyles begin in one, but take up another in the end. Xanatos leaves his cell to return to his home. Macbeth's scheming only succeeds in destroying his home. And a very appropriate introduction to the character, as we'll see when we return this summer with City of Stone. The players are all in place. It's finally time to see all these relationships play out in a battle for Manhattan, and to answer some of the questions that have been nagging us since Awakening.
Just like Mom used to make, if Mom was a prison cook.